Video number 4, I got to talk quick, I got to get through a lot of stuff. Video number 4 in our series of why Bernardo's training versus a high school weight room. So number 1 was coaching, number 2 was culture, very overlooked, number 3 was speed training, and number 4 is going to kind of tie into coaching somewhat. We develop maximal and explosive strength development here. That's the holy grail of athletic performance. Being maximally strong and being able to transfer that strength into explosive strength in competition, right? So the best athletes typically are the guys who could run the fastest, or girls who could run the fastest, jump the highest, throw the furthest. They have the most explosive strength. But underneath that explosive strength, you have to have a baseline of maximal strength. And high school weight rooms, from what I've seen over the years, totally missed the boat on developing maximal and explosive strength. Now, here's why. It's basic science. So training is basically going to be basic physics and math. It's basic physics and numbers. So if you look at this curve here, this is called the force velocity curve, and I've done videos about this in the past. In order to have a true athletic program, you need to be moving this curve to the right. Right? And without moving the curve, in order to move this curve to the right, you can't skip anything along here. Now, some athletes are going to need more of one thing and a little less of the other, but you can't be neglected at all. And most coaches and most high school weight room monitors don't have background in this stuff, so they lack the science knowledge to be able to develop maximal and explosive strength. Okay, most of the time they give you, go do 8 reps of this, 10 reps of that, basic stuff. Sometimes they do try to play with barbells, and they really screw that up. That's why guys get hurt. And I'm going to go through why this is important here now. So at the top, obviously, this has to do with as force gets higher, our velocity is going to decrease. Everybody understands that. So when you lift something really heavy, it's going to be slower than if you lift something really light. As velocity increases, force decreases. So it doesn't take as much force to move something very light. So at the end of this is probably going to be sprinting. This is a very high velocity movement, and up here will be maximal strength. For our purposes, I'm just going to say max effort strength. Above that would actually technically be isometric strength, or trying to move an immovable object. So pulling a bar against pins or pressing a bar against pins would really be the highest you can get on that force velocity curve, because the velocity is actually 0. When you do max effort, you're actually moving the bar slow, but it is moving. Okay, in the middle would be your power. This would be like your power center here, your sweet spot, and then you're going to have different points along here that need to be hit. So here would be explosive strength, and here would be speed strength. Now, we're always constantly, every week in our programming, we're hitting these points, okay? So if guys need to sprint, we're sprinting. If guys need to develop explosive strength, we're jumping. Every athlete in our program is going to jump 80 times a week, at least 80 times per week, 80 jumps per week. So two days of 40 jumps. Speed strength is going to be roughly 75% of a 1 rep max, and the bar has to be moved with intent. That's why we put bands and chains on it. So it's usually 50% bar weight plus 25% bands or chains, and we move the bar as fast as we possibly can. If we were to measure bar speed, we would want to hit a certain bar speed with this. If we see guys are too slow, we take weight off the bar. Then maximum effort would be just a 1 rep max. So if you notice, our Mondays we always do we always do max effort lower. And then middle of the week, we're going to do some type of max effort upper. And then later on in the week, we're going to do our dynamic effort lower and upper. Okay, so sometimes we make this we could make this stuff into a 2 days a week program for guys in season. We can make it into a 3 times a week off season or in season, or a 4 times a week would be off season. And anything extra would be just supplementing in and building weak spots. But this is basically how we do this. So jumping is super important to develop explosive strength, because when you jump, you rapidly stretch and contract muscles, and you have to develop as much force as you possibly can in the shortest amount of time possible. You can't jump really high, extremely slow. It has to happen rapidly. Okay? Speed strength needs to be developed in order to help increase maximal strength. All these play back on one another. In order to sprint faster, to get out of the blocks faster, out of a stance faster, you need to put more force in the ground. How do you put more force in the ground? You jump higher. How do you jump higher? You lift the bar faster. How do you lift the bar faster? You have more strength, maximal strength. Obviously, you're using percentages, so it's math and it's physics. So if you have a guy with a 400-pound squat would be able to move a 200-pound bar faster than a guy with a 200-pound squat. Does that make sense? So it's all physics, it's all numbers, and this is what high school weight rooms are missing. Okay, so these are going to be some clips of dynamic effort or speed training.
Good.
So
Come on, get back,
obviously we take a percentage of the athlete's max. It's usually between 50 and 60% for speed strength, and we add accommodating resistance at 25%. And we move the bar as fast as possible.
Come on.
This can be done for any athlete. And you just saw a bench, a squat, and a deadlift. Next is going to be jumping. So jumping is how you build explosive strength. So it's the rate of force development. You want it to be as fast as possible. So this is an upper body plyometric. We call this upper body plyo, where they throw med balls. But we mix up our jumps a ton. Some weight rooms and other training programs will do jumps, but they basically limit to just a box jump. And box jumps are great, but you should also be doing other types of jumps. Where you have to react off the ground. So this guy's doing ankle weights, kneeling jump, and the box jump. You want to react off the ground as fast as possible. Boom. There you go. Pick the landing. This is another broad. This is actually a box jump variation, but it's a broad jump, so that we're jumping for distance. Again, always mixing it up, never letting the athlete get stale and stop progressing. This is a box jump again, but we're adding 44-pound dumbbells in each hand. So this will be higher on the force velocity curve. This is higher, right? It's slower. There's more force into the ground with this. It's not as fast as if he had no weight in his hands.
That's it. Last one.
Again, another box jump variation, but now off a box. So we're going to sit, static, overcome by dynamic, explode onto the box. And we added dumbbells.
Get up! Oh, I like this song, bro.
Let me do 3 sets of that.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so now we're going to get into max effort work. Again, this is 1 rep max all-out effort. Sports are played in an all-out effort, not in a, do a little here, a little there. Everything's all out. So if you watch their face, you could tell if they're pushing hard. Like, look at his face. He's really grinding it out. Great. They're slow. Sometimes they're ugly, like I said. 1 rep max is very safe. It's like a lot of people get confused. They think a 1 rep max is dangerous. It's more dangerous to do a 5 rep max than a 1 rep max. So we mix it up. We do all different variations. It's typically barbell work, but it could be like more of a strongman variation. But if you notice, we're wide a lot. We do a lot of wide stance stuff to work lateral ground forces and to open your hips.
Come on, Kyle.
I like the Zercher position for wrestlers. So a lot of our wrestlers will do squats, deadlifts, and stuff like that from a Zercher, meaning holding the bar in the front across your elbows. And we work up with this. We don't just put the weight on the bar. What we do is we,
Come on, you gotta squeeze the shit out of that bar.
we start light. We do a couple reps, then we add some weight and do a couple reps, and we add some weight and probably do 1 rep and then 1 rep going up until they can't get 1 anymore. What happens with a 1 rep max is they usually get it or they just miss it. They don't even budge it. So that's why I feel it's very safe. And if they get it and it starts to look ugly, it's 1 rep. It's very hard to hurt themselves. The guys by this point are strong enough that they're not going to get hurt doing this type of thing. That's typically the biggest fear that coaches have and people have in their high school weight rooms.
Don't jerk at it.
Hips through, good.
Grind it out. That's it. You want it to be a maximal effort. And you get the point. I'm going to cut this short here, but you guys get the point.